This is the Parajet Maverick, and in today's video, I want to share my thoughts on it. Just to be clear, this is going to be my opinion. I'm not claiming to be right or any of those things. This is just what I've learned in owning a Parajet Maverick over the last 6 months. This is the good, the bad, the ugly, my favorites, my least favorites, and let's go fly. Okay, so I was planning to go flying at this exact moment in time, but if you look at the windsock, it is not moving at all. So I think I'll take a second to just kind of walk you through the details as far as the Parajet Maverick goes. This right here is Parajet International. I think that's the name of their company's, one of their main paramotors that they produce. The Parajet Maverick is a gold standard of paramotors in the industry. More people probably fly Parajet Mavericks than anything else, and for good reason. It's a well-refined, well-crafted paramotor that's extremely well-balanced. Let's talk about some of the details, some of the specs, some of the little nitty-gritty information. This paramotor right here, as it sits dry, is 54 pounds. If you buy a brand new one from the factory, take it out of the box and weigh it, it will weigh 54 pounds. Now, there's a couple different options in terms of gas tanks for this Parajet, and that will change the weight. That weight is obviously before you add a reserve parachute or any additional things. This Parajet in particular has the larger 18-liter gas tank. It is an upgrade that you do have to pay for. I think it's $70. I could be mistaken. Standard, it comes with a 12-liter gas tank. For those of you that work in gallons, that's roughly 3 gallons, and 18 liters is roughly 5 gallons. Comes standard with the 12-liter. That is plenty of fuel for the average pilot. I like to fly long distances, which is why I opted for the 18-liter gas tank. There's a couple cons to that. Number one, it's less aerodynamic. Not that you really notice that, but I'm sure it plays a factor at some point. And number two, it is a little bit heavier. And number three, it costs more, but it's 70 bucks. This paramotor comes in two different variations. There's standard and there's sport. Sport really means it has a heating shroud and a travel case. Beyond the heating shroud and travel case, there isn't really any extra stuff or juice or any of those things that come with the sport model. This is the sport model. I don't even have the heating shroud and I don't have the travel case with me. So I recommend for most people, unless they would like the travel case, to just get the standard Parajet Maverick. That is around $8,100 shipped to you. They typically are in stock and can ship within 24 hours of placing an order, which is super cool. Now this paramotor comes standard with a Polini throttle. It can be either on left or right side. I opted for left side, and I also took the Polini throttle off and swapped it for a off-grid aviation throttle. Throttles are mostly a personal choice, and I don't prefer the Polini throttle. I prefer the off-grid aviation throttle, which is why I chose to replace the throttle it comes with the off-grid throttle. Now, this particular paramotor came in the blue color, which is what you can see the swing arms are. I had an accident with the net because it is a school unit and gets used for school training. That ended up destroying the net, and I had to replace with a new one. And I'll talk about what happened and how it broke, and it really was stupid. It's actually one of these poles over here. Anyways, the netting is something we'll talk about as we kind of go on. I opted for the blue color. It is kind of their standard color because I like blue, and blue is kind of my color. Ended up with the black outer loop because it is an unpainted, far cheaper replacement than the painted blue hoop would be. The way these Parajet Maverick hoops work and the way that you can get them colored is that this right here is actually a plastic piece that clamps on over the titanium, as you can see, and has the netting attached. You just kind of pull it all the way off and put it all the way on, and that's what has the color. This unpainted, as it's called, is quite a bit cheaper to replace than the painted version, which would match the blue swing arms. Now, Parajets come standard with a Dudek comfort seat harness. This one in particular has a large, extra large size. Most pilots that are around 180 to 200 pounds and up end up on the large, extra large. I have both sizes as an option for people to try if they ever come to see me, but that's the size that I prefer to fly. The hoop is a rather small hoop and only fits a 125 centimeter prop. It can tightly fit a 130 centimeter, but it's not very comfortable, as in the prop gets very close to the edge of the propeller. They do have a new version called the Parajet Mav Max that lets you run a 140 prop. It's a much larger 150 hoop. This is not that paramotor. This is the smaller hoop, smaller prop. And I will tell you, I do notice the difference between a 125 and a 140 prop. The 140 prop does produce a significant amount more power, and I would prefer to have the Mav Max, but it wasn't available at the time that I placed this order. This Parajet Maverick Maverick is more than enough for most pilots, especially on the lighter side, as the 125 prop does still produce a lot of power. This particular paramotor comes equipped with the Vitarazi Moster 185 engine. That is the engine that I prefer over everything else. I don't want to ever touch any other engines except possibly a few, because I just love the Vitarazi 185. It's tested, it's proven, there's service everywhere, there's parts everywhere, and you can get stuff very, very quick for it. I love it. It's what I fly on all my paramotors, and it's what I chose to put on this one. This paramotor can come with the smaller Vitarazi engine, which is called the Atom 80. I don't need an Atom 80 for myself or for my school, so I just went with the 185. Let me talk about some of the things that I really like about this frame. Number one, I love just how well refined it feels. It definitely feels like it's a company that manufactures a lot of equipment and has put a lot of time into their research development and product, and it shows. Everything is very well made, everything is well finished, and everything looks like it was thought through and was thought through. It is a very nice, comfortable, easy to use frame. It's the gold standard, as I refer to it, for a reason. It just works. It works every single time. It works anytime and every time you want it, and it's comfortable for all paramotor pilots. The other thing that I really, really enjoy about this particular frame is the weight. Coming in at only 54 pounds dry, that is on the smaller / lighter side of paramotors. The average in the industry is around 56 pounds, with some paramotors ranging all the way to 60 pounds and some down to the high 40s with the Atom 80, excuse me. This paramotor is very light, very comfortable. The weight at 54 pounds sits very close to your back and very high up on your back, which makes it feel even lighter. This is usually the paramotor that females prefer, as well as older gentlemen who just want the lightest, most comfortable paramotor. If you're looking for lightweight, if you're looking for comfortable, this is definitely a very good option to go with, because it feels incredible on your back, even with a lot of gas, which is what I have right now. This paramotor does come with its cons though, and there are a few things about it that I don't enjoy, particularly the way that the hoop and the netting is fastened. Although I think it's probably the best way, or one of the best ways to do it, I don't love how expensive it is to replace if you have a problem. Plus, if you do have a problem with any part of the net, you have to replace the entire net, which can be a pain in the butt and cost upwards of $450. The reason I went with this black net is because I believe it was half of the cost of the blue net to replace. The other thing that I don't particularly love is the netting material. The material is a little bit on the weaker side in my opinion. They could have gone for something a little bit sleeker, stronger, but it would have cost them more. I feel like maybe they cheaped out a little bit on that netting, but it does get the job done, and when fastened correctly, it is very tight and keeps you away from the propeller. Another thing that I have found to really, really enjoy about this Parajet Maverick is just how easily you can adjust it to other pilots. It's just 2 bolts on both sides to remove the carabiners, move, and refasten them to a new location. Parajet has a very good diagram showing you exactly what weight you want to adjust it to, and if you do so, it works phenomenally. Something I don't prefer is that the bolts that they used for that seem a little bit on the weaker side, and I ended up going and replacing them with stronger bolts. Just my opinion, just how I felt. Because I do also change it regularly, the bolts started to get a little stripped, and we wanted something a little beefier. One thing that I have found to be really nice, as well as a big inconvenience, is the gas tank. I love having the larger gas tank size at 18 liters, which is like 4.5, 5 gallons. Legal limit here in the United States is 5 gallons, so this gets you right up there next to it. For those longer cross-country flights, upwards of 3-4 hours, this paramotor can get the job done. Now, something that is a little bit on the annoying side with this paramotor is the gas tank cap. I'll show you here. Gas tank cap placement is right there, and although that is out in the open, it is also difficult to get to. Getting the cap off itself, getting a gas can to it, getting all the things to fill it up would be just a royal pain in the butt. Another thing that you can probably notice right now is that the gas tank cap does not seal very well. It is very difficult to get it on and not thread the gas cap. As you can see, this one's completely threaded, and I don't even know if I can get it off. There we go. It is a common problem with these gas tanks. I don't love it. If you figure out the trick, you can get them on without stripping it, but it's something that I have done way too many times at this point. Now that I've kind of run down some of my favorites, some of my least favorites here about this Parajet, I am gonna try and go flying, and I'll talk about the rest of the things that I love about this paramotor, as well as the things that I don't particularly love about this paramotor, and we'll go for a fun flight. One thing I will note about this Parajet Maverick is that the pole starter
is in a very nice place, and it's very easy to pull with your right hand. It is not in a place that is easy to pull with your left hand, but if you're a right-handed pull start kind of guy, it's in a very nice spot. I find it very easy to start. One thing I do also like about this Parajet Maverick that isn't always the same on every unit is that the carabiners are very easy to get to. They're in a very comfortable spot. Sometimes our carabiners are like way too close and far back on your body, and you have to kind of search for them without your eyes. On this unit, the carabiners are in a very easily accessible spot, which is just another one of those pros to its easy to useness. That's something I always say, or something I'll say a lot with this paramotor, is that it's very easy to use. Now, I'm bringing my selfie cam. Hopefully we'll use it. Oh, maybe we won't, maybe we will. There we go. This is the off-grid aviation throttle that I switched to. Alrighty. Let's see. Alrighty. We will give this a try. Okay guys, we are now airborne. I'm heading towards this mountain over here. It's the flight that I wanted to do. Forgot to lock my truck, but I think it should be okay. I always forget to lock my truck. Right off the bat as well, the one thing that I noticed with this Parajet Maverick is just how loosey-goosey and playful these swing arms feel. Sorry guys, it's a little on the bumpy side, so you're getting all rocked around. It's just how loosey-goosey these swing arms feel. They're so play hungry. They just want to play, they want to rock back and forth, they want to wing over, they want to weight shift, they want to do all the things. The Parajet has very good weight shift, you know, in comparison to all the other frames that I've flown, which is quite a few at this point. I love the playfulness of it. It's very stable, yet it also loves to just flick back and forth. In terms of torque compensation, I feel like the Parajet does a really good job at my weight. Every paramotor pilot's weight will change how effective torque steer is. The heavier the pilot, typically the less torque steer they're going to experience, just because there's more mass to them. On this frame, I experience very little, to the point where I pretty much fly straight, especially at cruising RPMs, which I don't have a tachometer on right now, but normally I'm cruising around 5,000–6,000 RPMs. I enjoy this weight shift. I will tell you, it's very playful. That's the thing that I really do like about it. It's also comfortable. Like, I get that nice reclined seating position, and my arms don't hit these swing arms in an uncomfortable way. Like, I could pull my arms all the way down, and at the very bottom, I'll hit those swing arms. But until I reach the bottom, there's no resistance, which is super, super nice, because sometimes there's swing arms that your arms are hitting and getting in the way of how you pull brakes, but not on this particular unit. Now, another thing with this Parajet Maverick that is nice is that I don't get a rocking back and forth when I push throttle. As I ease in, it stays very rigid and solid all the way through the power band and off. It doesn't like rock me forward as I'm on power and ease me back as I'm off. It stays very planted the whole way through. Let's get up this mountain and then we'll keep talking. I am back. It took me quite a little while to climb up this mountain. I think my prop has got some chips in it and stuff. Something's not running right. My climb rate is a little off. I'm also flying a very small wing, and I'm a little bit of a bigger dude at higher elevation. So I climbed up this mountain, and I wanted to talk about the next few things that I really like and don't like about this Parajet Maverick. Woo! One of the things about the Parajet Maverick that I am not a huge fan of is the swing arm strength, and particularly the bolt that fastens the swing arm to the paramotor. there's no way to pre-flight it. And that's this piece right here. There's no way to pre-flight it, and I've had a couple friends who've had it break on them while they're flying. There is a backup strap, so it wasn't that big of a deal beyond just being not cool. They were able to land, and they were just fine. But it's one of those things where I wish they would beef up that particular spot. And I know on their Parajet Mav Maxes that they did beef those up. And so I imagine that the Mav Maxes don't have any problems with that, which is one of the reasons why I would like that. If you're kind of a really hard G-force guy, then over a long period of time you might notice it. I'm not really a big G-force guy, and I try and be kind of gentle on this Maverick just because of that. But it is a thing that I do notice. And I wanted to say that in my concluding thoughts, you know, I've mentioned quite a few things that I don't particularly love about this frame, or that I have a problem with about this frame. But overall, this is one of my favorite paramotors out there at this time. And I just don't see a world where I don't have a Parajet Maverick in my arsenal. It's just a great, great paramotor. It's a really good all-arounder. It has its cons, it has its pros, just like every other paramotor out there. I think if you're looking for just a good working, easy to use paramotor that you can rely on, this is definitely one of those paramotors. Because of the wide scale sales volume, because of how many people have bought them, parts and service and help is everywhere, which is really nice. You know, sometimes you buy a little bit more of a limited paramotor that's on a smaller production scale, and you don't have as much support, or if you upset one person, you're kind of screwed. That's not really the case with Parajet. They're such a large company. There's so many people out there that can help you with them, which is super nice. You know, I will say it's a great all-around paramotor, and if you're thinking about getting a Parajet Maverick, I definitely would say go for it. There's a lot of great paramotors out there, and this is one of them. So in my concluding thoughts, like I mentioned, it's definitely a great all-around paramotor. It's got its pros, it's got its cons. I will forever own a Parajet. I just love the Parajets. And let's go land this thing, because I'm getting cold. Boom.
Okay, that concludes my brief review of the Parajet Maverick, what I like, what I don't like. Although there was plenty of things that I said that I didn't particularly care for, like I mentioned, this is one of my favorite paramotors, and if you are considering purchasing a Parajet Maverick and would like help purchasing a Parajet Maverick, hit us up at backcountryppg.com. We service all paramotors, have all paramotors makes, models, brands, wings. We got it all. Hit us up at backcountryppg.com. If you have additional questions about this, you're welcome to reach out to me or leave a comment in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next video. And yes, I know my hair is crazy.